Hey guys, ready for another week of ELA. We're going to start off looking at a couple pictures here. I want to show you some pictures from deep inside the earth. This is me and my wife inside of a cave. We're looking at a story the first couple days this week called Weird and Wondrous Rocks. Have you ever been inside a cave? The rock formations inside caves are just amazing. I'll show you a really cool one on the next slide too. But this is in a cave that's closer than Dollywood. It's in Dandridge. It's Forbidden Caverns. And so if you've ever seen the signs around Sevierville for Forbidden Caverns, I encourage you to go there. It's a great place to go. We like to go in the summer when it's really hot, like the end of July before school starts or something, because inside these caves, it's always like 60 degrees. It always feels great in there in the summertime. So this is Forbidden Caverns. This is just a picture of my wife and I. You can see some of the interesting rock formations behind us. This is down under the ground in the cave. So these little things slide, looks like they're almost like a waterfall here. That's where the mineral, the limestone, has been in the water. So much limestone mineral in the water. When the water drips, it forms these little columns. Really interesting. And in Forbidden Caverns, there's a place where there's underground water source over here. It's a little creek running underground. Really interesting. You can see the weathering and erosion to tie in science there that happens. Now look at this guy. As you walk around the corner in Forbidden Caverns, it looks like a dinosaur sticking his head out. You see him right here? It's just a rock formation. It's not a living thing. It's just the way this rock formed, but it looks like it's a dinosaur with a long neck. He's got two eyes and a little horn on his head. I forget what they call him. It looks like he's smiling, but they have a name for him there at Forbidden Caverns. I forget what it is. But if you go visit Forbidden Caverns, your tour guide will show him to you. But that's a weird rock formation that looks like a dinosaur sticking his head around the corner. It's always fun to see when we go there. And like I said, our story we're going to look at the beginning this week is about weird and wondrous rocks. This is one of those weeks where we're actually going to have two stories in 1 week. And so, but we're looking at this whole module. We're looking at wonders of nature. So things that are really interesting that are made by nature. So today we're going to start off here by looking at our 3 vocabulary words for our first story of the week. And remember, the first story of the week is Weird and Wondrous Rocks. And if you want to get your book out and open it to page 34, get your reading book out is where we're going to be. Now, I'm just going to be real honest. This is going to sound mean, but this is the truth. Last week, I had people that made zeros on their vocabulary assignment. There was at least 3 of you who just guessed at the vocabulary words. They are in your book. Shame on you for being lazy. Get your book out and look at these words. They're in your book. There's no reason to make a 0 on vocabulary. My goodness. That's hurts your grade when you make a 0. There was 5 words last week or something, and you didn't get any of them right because you didn't use your book or you didn't even listen to the lesson with me going over them. So pay attention, please. Be proud of what you turn in. Make sure you always do your best. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to our vocabulary for this story. The first word is eternal. Eternal. Ever heard that word? If something is eternal, it has no end. It lasts forever. So something that is never ending is eternal. The seasons are eternal because they always happen. There's always spring and summer and fall and winter, aren't there? They're always going on. They keep occurring. Organic. If something is organic, it's made up of living matter. The soil in a garden is organic. So organic is made up of living things. You're organic. Plants are organic. Anything that's made up of living matter is organic. What do you think you call something that's made of living matter? It's organic and it's an organism, right? An organism. And this last word, can you say that before I do? Can you sound that out? Intriguing. What do you think? We say this word intriguing. Intriguing. Something that is intriguing is very interesting. The process that forms crystals is intriguing. So we'll look at these again tomorrow, but eternal, organic, and intriguing. Eternal lasts forever. Organic, it's made of living matter. Intriguing means it's interesting. Simple enough. All right, so let's get in our book now. Remember, turn on page 34 in your book, and that's where we're going to be. We're looking at this story, Weird and Wondrous Rocks. Now, again, this is an informational text. As we can imagine, most of our stories this week are going to be information. This unit, I should say, are going to be informational text. Last week, information about the Mariana Trench. This week, informational text about weird and wondrous rocks. Our second story this week is actually kind of a combination of information and poetry, believe it or not. So we'll look at some more poetry later in the week about wonders of nature. But informational text gives facts and examples about a topic. What do you think our topic's going to be? Rocks, right? Authors may organize their ideas using headings. Headings and subheadings tell readers what the next section will be about. Authors of informational text may organize their ideas by explaining cause and effect. Science text also include words that are specific to the topic. These are the words that name things, excuse me, or ideas, excuse me. I had a tickle in my throat there. All right, so let's take a look at our story. Please read along with me, page 34 in your book, Weird and Wondrous Rocks. I like how they created the title, the word rocks, out of rocks. That makes it neat looking. By Apple, Mr. Helton, slow down. By April Pulley Sayre. All right, here we go. Call them natural wonders. Call them really weird rocks. In many of the United States natural areas, rocks, not animals or plants, are the main attraction. There are musical rocks in Pennsylvania. I guess they really rock, huh? There are rocks that put on a fire show in New York. And in Texas, rocks are the stars of an amazing art display. That's right. Rocks aren't just sitting still as you might expect. Now and then, rocks actually move across Death Valley's flat floor. Read on to learn more about these weird and wondrous rocks. Well, I'm interested, aren't you? What a great way to start a story. Notice how the author really got us wondering. I want to know about these musical rocks and rocks that put on a fire show, rocks that move across the floor by themselves. That sounds kind of creepy. It gets me interested, doesn't it? We might call these little hooks or little catches, little grabbers that grab our attention and make us want to read on. Ringing Rocks, County Park, Pennsylvania. A huge field in eastern Pennsylvania is full of mysterious rocks. When hit with a hammer, these rocks ring like bells. At Ringing Rocks County Park, visitors enjoy tapping the boulders to hear the sounds they make. Several musicians have even included the rocks' strange sounds in concerts. I figured out why I can't read today. I'm not wearing my glasses. There we go. There's the words. That helps. The ringing rocks are made of diabase, a dark, igneous, or volcanic rock. People used to think that not all of the rocks rang, but scientists have shown that they do. Some of the rocks produce sounds too low for humans to hear. Some scientists think that levels of iron in the rocks produce the ringing. Another theory points to stress caused by repeated freezing and thawing. The rocks and their sounds still need more study. In the meantime, the musical rocks provide great entertainment. I want to go try that out, don't you? Take a hammer and go to Ringing Rock County Park and hit them and listen to them ring. That would be cool. I don't think rocks around here do that. Have you ever tried it? I don't think I've ever tried it. I don't think it would work, or we would know about it by now. Eternal Flame Falls, New York. This is interesting. What is going on over here? In Chestnut Ridge Park in western New York, a small fire burns in a grotto or a hollow area beneath a waterfall. The flame may have been burning on and off for 1,000 years. Hikers are told to carry barbecue lighters in case the fire goes out. They may need to relight it because sometimes the flame needs help to be eternal. The eternal flame burns natural gas. The gas forms from decaying organic matter and seeps out from shale rock. Shale is a type of sedimentary rock that contains fossilized organic material, the remains of ancient plants. The natural gas produces a flame up to 8 inches, 20 centimeters tall. The grotto protects the flame from wind and water. Long-lasting flames burn in other places too. Many are linked to mines or volcanoes. Where natural gas burns, it usually forms from super hot underground shell. Still, a flame burning under a massive waterfall makes eternal flame falls truly unique and wondrous. Look at that. So back underneath there, in that area back there, there's a place where natural gas is escaping. And of course, if you have a gas grill, something like that, if you light it, it causes a fire. So a fire burns back in there in the natural gas that's being escaped. That's amazing. I saw on TV on the Discovery Channel, they were going to this place where people swear that the volcano would let out blue lava instead of red lava. And so this lady didn't believe them, but she went, and sure enough, the lava was blue. And so running down the mountainside there was this blue lava and little streaks of it. But she found it wasn't really lava. It was more of a sulfurous material that was heating up and coming out of the volcano. So that was interesting. Blue lava is what it looked like. Let's read about these caverns of Sonora, Texas. At first, you might think you're on another planet. What surrounds you can't possibly be on Earth. This is what my caving experience looked like. The Caverns of Sonora is a 7-mile-long system of beautiful caves that lie beneath a Texas ranch. Legend says a dog found the entrance to the caverns around 1900. In 1955, cavers crossed a ledge above a deep pit. Cavers crossed a ledge above a deep pit. They found passages leading to strange shapes and sparkling with crystals. The caverns were formed by slow-moving water under the ground. The water dissolved the limestone layer and carried it away, forming the caverns. Water trickling through the cave walls over thousands of years has created some pretty amazing rock formations. So this is kind of what it looks like inside the cave I was showing you earlier. It's really cool. You could go to the one, the Forbidden Caverns there between Sevierville and Dandridge, and see these things we're reading about. The water contains dissolved minerals. Drip by drip, as the water falls from the cave ceilings and the walls, the minerals build up to form stalagmites and stalactites. Stalagmites grow up from the cave floors. Stalactites grow downward from huge ceilings like icicles. Helictites are stalactites that grow in branching shapes. They can resemble teeth, drinking straws, or wings. Some of the deposits on the cave walls look like coral or popcorn. It can take centuries for these cave deposits to form, and the process continues today. So look at these helictites. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. My wife keeps texting me this morning. She knows I'm recording during the morning, so I thought it might be an emergency, but it wasn't. She was saying, "Did you know it's snowing outside?" It's snowing outside today. I'm recording this Friday, the Friday before you're probably watching this lesson. Okay. So these caverns here is what we were reading about, the stalactites and stalagmites. So if you look here, is that water, it begins to drip. Now, I will warn you, if you go into a cave, you'll get dripped on by water. The water is seeping through the ceilings, the top of the cave, and the minerals in it harden as the water drips very, very slowly and starts forming these. And you have to be very careful. If there's any hanging very low, they can poke you. But also, you would get in big trouble if you broke them off. So you never want to do that. Let's look at my pictures again. Let's see if we see anything we just read about. So, yeah, see these stalactites that are kind of coming down. That's really back on the wall, but it's the same process. Kind of looks like coral, like they said. And this guy right here, you can see he's this rock formation. You can see some stalactites up here. I didn't really put any good pictures of stalactites or stalagmites on these slides, but same thing we're reading about there. Let's go to the next page, see what other wondrous rocks we can find out about. Oh, these are the stones that move. Look at the path it followed here. I've seen these on the Discovery Channel too. In Death Valley National Park, rocks seem to move on their own. They leave parallel tracks in the thick, deep mud of a remote playa, a dry lake bed. The rocks, which vary in weight from a few ounces to hundreds of pounds, can stand still for years at a time. Then suddenly, hundreds of pebbles and boulders drift across the playa all at once. The only problem was that no one ever saw this happen. They hadn't only seen the puzzling tracks, and they had only seen the puzzling. No one had ever seen it happen. They had only seen the puzzling tracks. Have you ever had just days where you have trouble reading? That is me today. I'm having trouble today. Maybe I'm trying to read too fast. Until recently, even scientists didn't know how the rocks moved. So they saw these tracks that the rocks were moving, but they have no idea how they're moving. Before we read this next paragraph, what's your prediction? What do you think makes these rocks move? There's one moving there. There's one moving here. You think it's wind? You think wind? Boy, that would have to be a strong wind to blow a big boulder like that, wouldn't it? Do you think some kind of animal pushes it? I don't know there's any animal strong enough in the desert to push those around. What do you think? Let's find out. To unlock this mystery, scientists set up a weather station to measure wind speed and rainfall. They installed tracking devices in rocks in a range of sizes up to about 36 pounds. They left time-lapse cameras in place to record the movement. Over time, rain and snow created a temporary pond a few inches deep. A thin layer of ice formed on top, trapping the rocks. Sunlight melted the ice enough to break it into large floating sheets, and then a mild wind pushed the ice sheets, which slowly dragged the rocks, leaving the telltale tracks. Mystery solved. Well, that was complicated. I was hoping it was a better story than that. So it rains, and obviously the rain gets under the rock a little bit, and then it freezes and forms a thin layer of ice. So the rocks basically ice skate, huh? So as the rocks are sitting on the sheet of ice, the wind can blow them easier because the friction is reduced. So they blow, and I guess they're heavy enough to still leave tracks. That's interesting. I was hoping for a better story. I won't lie. About how they got moved. From ringing rocks to moving rocks, the United States has plenty of natural wonders. Best of all, people can actually visit these rock-related tourist attractions. But there's no need to wait for a trip to one of these places to discover odd rocks at work. Rocks in other places move, make sounds, and change shapes as well. Rivers smooth down pebbles. Wind blowing over and around rocks whistles and makes sounds. Winter, ice, and freezing and thawing shifts rocks in parking lots and along lake shores. The slow drip of water on a stone step can shape rock too. Look and listen. Rocks, with the help of natural forces such as wind, water, freeze, and thaw, may be doing something intriguing right outside your door. So you might have some rocks around your house that are changing and doing weird and wondrous things. All right, let's move on to our decoding for today. And so as we look at our words for this week and what the spelling words are going to look like, we find that they are ending in the sound j and s. J and s. The final j sound can be spelled ge or dge. The final s sound can be spelled s, ss, or ce. So let's take a look at these words, and see how the j or the s sound is spelled. So the first one we have here is prince. Prince. Prince makes the s sound. And this one, once, makes the s sound. Badge. The j sound is dge. Presents. Ce. Storage. Ge. Ice. This is ce making this sound. Cage. The ge making the j sound. France. Ce making this sound. Knowledge. dge making the j sound. This is a word that I misspell a lot. I want to put lege and leave off the d. Grass. Oh, two s's making the s sound. Slice. Ce making the s sound. Postage. Ge making the j sound. Passage. Ge making the j sound. Retrace. Ce making the s sound. Bridge. DGE making the J sound. Sequence, CE making the S sound. Cabbage, GE making the J sound. Strange, GE, I keep getting that in. GE making the J sound. Arrange, GE making the J sound. Sauce, CE making the S sound. Judge, DGE making the J sound. Twice, CE making the S sound. Image, GE making the J sound. Necklace, CE making the S sound. Lettuce, CE making this sound. Let's look at the words in the sentence, see if we can find them. Alice, it's the name of Mr. Taylor's wife. Did you know that? Her name is Alice. CE making this sound. Postage, GE making the J sound. And France, SCE making this sound. Strange, GE making the J sound. Vegetables, I don't see anything there. Vegetables, S making this sound. Cabbage, GE making the J sound. Lettuce, CE making this sound. See anything else? Shapes, S making this sound. All right, let's take a look at our spelling next. Here are your spelling words for the week. Let's go through them. Glance, misjudge, damage, package, twice, stage, carriage, sense, practice, marriage, baggage, office, message, science, chance, notice, manage, palace, bandage, furnace, average, justice, knowledge, and fragrance. So all of our spelling words this week end in J or S. Make sure you pay attention to how you spell those ending sounds like we looked at in our decoding. I want to look at one more thing with you today before we go. And so we are going to look this week at adverbs. Now, adverbs are words that describe verbs. You remember a few weeks ago when we had our poetry unit, we were working on adjectives. Adjectives describe nouns. A dog might be, remember we looked at the picture of the dog? He might be fluffy and slobbery. So a slobbery, fluffy dog. All right, those are adjectives. They describe a noun, a person, place, or thing, like a dog. A verb is an action, right? It's what something does. So adverbs describe a verb. Just like an adjective describes a noun, an adverb describes a verb. So if we take a look here on these slides, and these first 10 are going to be like your assignment for today, you're going to find the adverb. So let me show you how to find them. Sugar maples often live for many years. What do sugar maples do in this sentence? What's the verb? They live. Do you see a word that describes live? How do they live? They often live. So often in this sentence would be the adverb. Okay? They often live. Our family hikes weekly in the woods. So what does the family do in this sentence? They hike. That's the verb. They hike. Do you see a word that describes when they hike or how they hike? They hike weekly in the woods. A lot of adverbs end in ly. Not all of them, but a lot of adverbs end in ly. So if you see an ly word in the sentence, that's probably the adverb. Our family hikes when? Weekly. We saw wonderful maple trees yesterday. What did we do? We saw. When did we see them? How did we see them? We saw them yesterday. Actually, even though it's way over here, it still describes saw, when we saw them, okay? We saw yesterday. Their leaves change beautifully in autumn. What do their leaves do? The verb is change. You see a word that describes how they change or when they change? They change beautifully. So beautifully describes change. It's the adverb. Softwood is frequently used as lumber. Okay, what's the verb? What's the verb? Softwood what? Softwood is used. When is it used? Where is it used? How is it used? It is used frequently. There's an ly adverb again, like beautifully was. So used is the verb. Frequently is the adverb. Many people greatly enjoy plants. What do people do? They enjoy. How do they enjoy? Greatly. Ly words are a lot of times adverbs, remember. So greatly is the adverb. Some people tend their plants carefully. What do people do? What's the verb? They tend. How do they tend? When do they tend? Where do they tend? They tend carefully. I bet you found that one. Has an ly on it. Tropical plants grow poorly in cold, cool climates. What do plants do? They grow. How, when, where do they grow? They grow poorly. Poorly is your adverb. Cold weather can easily kill these plants. Cold weather what? Cold weather can kill. How can it kill? Where can it kill? When can it kill? It can kill easily. Easily is the adverb. Tropical plants really need warm weather. Okay, what do tropical plants do? They need. How do they need? When do they need? Where do they need? They really need. That describes need, okay? They really need. So you're going to have 10 sentences today. And what I'm going to do is give you multiple choice to find the adverb in each sentence. I'm going to make it as easy as possible since this is the first lesson. Look for words that end in ly. Read the sentence, find a subject, who is it about, and then find what they do, and then ask yourself if what they do is change, then ask yourself when, what, when, how, or where. When, how, or where. And then see if you can find a word that tells when, how, or where they change. They change beautifully. Okay? This is the first day you've worked with adverbs. I understand that, so I'll try to make it as easy as possible. If you have questions about it, we'll definitely take a look at it in our Google Meet today, okay? Thank you for being a good listener for these 30 minutes. We'll see you later.